Our planet is heating up. This isn't just about hotter summers. It's about the very systems that control our weather going haywire. The culprit, climate change?
Gases released by burning fossil fuels trap heat like a blanket around the Earth. This trapped heat fuels extreme weather events, turning them from unusual occurrences into terrifying new norms.
Think of it like this. A hotter atmosphere holds more moisture. This leads to heavier rainfall and increased flooding in some areas. Conversely, other regions experience prolonged droughts as the heat evaporates available water sources. These shifts in weather patterns disrupt ecosystems, agriculture, and ultimately our lives. The summer of 2023 will be etched in our memories for its brutal heat waves. Across Europe, temperatures soared to unprecedented levels. Wildfires raged through Greece, Spain, and Portugal, leaving behind scorched earth and displaced communities.
Thousands suffered from heat stroke, and the death toll climbed with each passing day. These heat waves aren't just uncomfortable, they are deadly. Climate change is making them more frequent and intense. The elderly, the very young, and those with underlying health conditions are most vulnerable. This is the human cost of our warming planet, a stark reminder of the urgency for action.
The warming isn't limited to land. Our oceans are absorbing much of the excess heat, with dire consequences. Warmer ocean waters fuel the formation of more powerful hurricanes and cyclones. These superstorms, once rare, are becoming increasingly frequent, bringing with them catastrophic winds, storm surges, and flooding.
The devastation caused by Hurricane Harvey in 2017 and Hurricane Maria in 2017 serves as a stark warning. These storms, intensified by climate change, caused billions of dollars in damage and resulted in widespread loss of life. As sea levels continue to rise due to melting ice caps and thermal expansion, coastal communities face an even greater threat from these devastating storms.
The Australian bushfires of 2019 to 2020 painted a terrifying picture of a continent on fire. The sheer scale and intensity of these fires were unprecedented, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape and the people who call Australia home. Years of prolonged drought exacerbated by climate change created a tinderbox-like environment. The lack of rainfall and soaring temperatures turned vast areas of the country into a powder keg, ready to ignite at the slightest spark. This perfect storm of conditions set the stage for one of the most devastating natural disasters in recent history. The fires raged for months, consuming millions of acres of land, killing or displacing billions of animals, and blanketing the country in a thick haze of smoke. The destruction was not just limited to the forests. Entire ecosystems were disrupted, and the air quality plummeted, affecting the health of millions of people. The scale of the disaster was almost unimaginable, with flames reaching heights of over 70 meters in some areas.
These fires were a wake-up call to the world. They highlighted the urgent need for action on climate change and the importance of preparedness in the face of natural disasters. Firefighters and volunteers worked tirelessly, often putting their own lives at risk, to combat the inferno and protect communities. Climate change is not a distant threat. It is here, it is now, and it is having a devastating impact on ecosystems and human lives. The melting ice caps, the increasing frequency of extreme weather events, and the rising sea levels are all symptoms of a planet in distress. The Australian bushfires were a stark reminder that we are not immune to these changes. The images of terrified koalas seeking refuge from the flames and the stories of communities losing their homes and livelihoods should serve as a stark reminder of what's at stake. These heart-wrenching scenes underscore the urgent need for global cooperation and immediate action to mitigate the effects of climate change. The resilience and solidarity shown by the Australian people in the face of such adversity is a testament to the human spirit, but it also calls for a collective effort to ensure a safer, more sustainable future for all.
Sea level rise is one of the most visible and alarming consequences of climate change. As global temperatures increase, glaciers and ice sheets melt at an accelerated rate, adding more water to the oceans. This, combined with the thermal expansion of warming water, is causing sea levels to rise at an unprecedented pace.
For low-lying island nations like the Maldives and Kiribati, rising sea levels pose an existential threat. Their very existence is at risk as their land is slowly swallowed by the encroaching ocean. Coastal cities around the world, from Miami to Shanghai, also face increasing risks of flooding, erosion, and saltwater intrusion.
The impacts of climate change are already being felt around the world, and we must adapt to this new reality while simultaneously working to mitigate further warming. From the melting glaciers in the polar regions to the wildfires ravaging forests, the evidence of climate change is undeniable. Coastal erosion is threatening communities, and extreme weather events are becoming more frequent and severe. Adaptation involves taking action to prepare for and minimize the negative consequences of climate change. This means not only responding to immediate threats, but also planning for long-term changes. Communities are coming together to install flood barriers, elevate homes in flood-prone areas, and create community garden projects that can withstand changing weather patterns. This might include building seawalls to protect coastal communities from rising sea levels, developing drought-resistant crops, or creating early warning systems for extreme weather events. Farmers are adopting new agricultural practices to cope with droughts, and cities are investing in technology to better predict and respond to natural disasters.
Building resilience is crucial for communities to withstand the impacts of climate change. It requires a collective effort from local governments, businesses, and residents. Community meetings are being held to discuss strategies and share knowledge on how to best prepare for the future. This involves strengthening infrastructure, diversifying economies, and empowering communities to adapt to changing conditions. Repairing and upgrading infrastructure ensures that it can withstand extreme weather. Supporting diverse small businesses helps create a robust local economy that can better absorb shocks. Community workshops on climate adaptation are educating people on how to protect their homes and livelihoods. By investing in sustainable practices and preparing for future risks, we can create a more resilient future for all. Renewable energy projects like solar panels and wind turbines reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and help mitigate climate change. Farmers using sustainable practices are preserving the land for future generations. Emergency preparedness drills ensure that communities are ready to respond quickly and effectively to any crisis. Together, these efforts contribute to a stronger, more resilient world.
While the scale of climate change can feel overwhelming, it's important to remember that individual actions do make a difference. By making conscious choices in our daily lives, we can collectively contribute to a more sustainable future. Simple actions like reducing our energy consumption, choosing sustainable transportation options, and adopting a more plant-based diet can significantly reduce our carbon footprint.
Consider this. If every household in the United States replaced just one incandescent light bulb with an energy-efficient LED bulb, it would save enough energy to light 3 million homes for a year. Multiply that by the billions of households worldwide, and the potential for impact is enormous.
Individual actions are essential, but real change happens when we come together as communities. By working together, we can amplify our impact and create a powerful force for change. Join local environmental organizations, advocate for sustainable policies in your city or town, and support businesses that prioritize environmental responsibility.
Community-led initiatives such as community gardens, renewable energy cooperatives, and sustainable transportation programs are springing up around the world. These initiatives not only reduce environmental impact, but also foster a sense of community and empower individuals to take ownership of their role in creating a more sustainable future.
Climate change is a global challenge that transcends national borders. It requires a collective response from all nations, working together to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and support vulnerable communities. International agreements, such as the Paris Agreement, provide a framework for global cooperation, but their success depends on the commitment and action of individual nations.
The transition to a low-carbon economy will require significant investment, innovation, and collaboration. Developed nations, which bear a historical responsibility for the majority of greenhouse gas emissions, have a moral obligation to support developing nations in their efforts to achieve sustainable development.
The future of our planet rests in our hands. Each of us has the power to make a difference, no matter how small our actions may seem. The choices we make today will determine the world we leave behind for future generations. Simple acts like recycling, conserving energy, and supporting renewable resources can have a profound impact. We can choose to continue down a path of unsustainable practices, leading to a future of more extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and ecological disruption. The consequences of inaction are dire and far-reaching. Or we can choose a different path, one marked by collective action, sustainable practices, and a commitment to preserving our planet for generations to come. By working together, we can create a healthier, more resilient world.
Every action, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. Whether it's picking up litter, reducing plastic use, or choosing to bike instead of drive, each effort contributes to a larger movement. By embracing sustainable practices, advocating for change, and inspiring others to join the movement, we can create a ripple effect that will shape a brighter and more sustainable future for all. Our collective efforts can lead to significant change. The time for action is now. We must act with urgency and determination, knowing that our efforts today will pave the way for a better tomorrow. Let's come together and make a lasting impact.